All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about dieting for body composition. This is a pyramid that I've come across. I've seen it used by a couple different organizations. It gives a great visual as to what's truly important when trying to improve your physique. We talk about trying to improve your physique. We're talking about dropping body fat, increasing muscle mass, leaning out, toning up. What we want to do is start at the bottom, look at calorie balance. This is the most important factor. So if you're trying to lose weight, what you got to do is be in a caloric deficit. You have to reduce your calorie intake. If you're trying to gain weight, you have to increase your calorie intake. Now, we're not looking at physical activity. That does play a role, but we're looking at this from a purely nutritional perspective. You need to make sure that that's in check before you worry about anything else. Next, we're going to move on to macronutrients. Calories are made up of macronutrients. That's either proteins, carbs, or fats. Proteins are the building blocks, important for building muscle. Carbohydrates are used as fuel, as your primary fuel source. It's going to spare protein and fat so they can do their other functions. If you exercise a lot, carbs are really important. Fats are also a fuel source and have different functions throughout the body. It's not important to go into that with great detail, just understand they all play a role. You can see between calorie balance and macros, this is about 75% of the equation. Making sure that's in check is going to go a long way. Next, let's look at nutrient timing. Nutrient timing would be meal frequency. Are you spreading your meals out throughout the day? Do you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, a pre and post-workout snack? Are you optimizing recovery by taking advantage of the anabolic window by getting in some carbs and proteins after your workouts? That would be nutrient timing. Next, we have food composition. This would be complete versus incomplete proteins. Not something you have to worry about unless maybe you're a vegan or a vegetarian, because most complete proteins come from dairy and meat products. They have a complete amino profile, so if you want to build muscle mass, you're not going to be able to do that unless you get complete proteins in. So you have to get creative with your complementary proteins if you are a vegan or a vegetarian. For another aspect of food composition would be complex versus simple carbohydrates. You want to consume complex carbohydrates. They're higher in fiber. They will break down slower, and you'll use that as sustained energy throughout the day. You want to put your simple carbohydrates, which are higher in sugar, closer to your workouts because they're easier to break down, and you'll use that as a fuel source more readily. Next, you're going to look at supplements. This is the last 5 to 10% of the equation. So caffeine, creatine, protein powders are great supplements to take. Most supplements are a waste of money. A lot of them really don't have much research to show that they work. The ones that I mentioned definitely do work, but again, it's only 5 to 10% of the equation. So just to recap, what you really got to look at is calorie balance. Are you getting in the right amount of fuel? Once you figure that out, you got to look at your macros, which is, are you getting the right types of fuel? Next, you got to look at nutrient timing. Are you getting that fuel in at the right times throughout the day? Next, food composition. You have to look at, is the fuel consist of what you need it to be? Okay, and then the last one would be supplements. Are you getting supplements into your diet to supplement to only squeeze out that last 5 to 10% and really improve your physique? Hopefully this pyramid gives a great visual for you. It's helped me a lot. I think it gives a great perspective what's really important and what to focus on. Focus on the bottom before you start looking at the stuff at the top. Don't worry about sugar intake. Don't worry about eating 6 times a day or taking a fat burner. That fits up to the top stuff before you're looking at calories and your macros.